Thank you, Albert. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you, Tatiana, for arranging this very important meeting here. Shalom also to you, Moshe. Dear friends, first of all, thank you for coming. But it's not only about coming here, and I think it's not only about praying together. It's about the message that you're going to take from here back to your countries. Speak to the parliamentarians, speak to the leaders in your different countries, and to your friends in those countries that are not represented here, and with the clear message of what needs to be done. And let me share with you my thoughts. I know that you have to fly back in 2 days, so I'll try to be short. But I was thinking about the ICC and the United Nations resolutions, and someone already mentioned it, maybe few speakers mentioned before. The issue now in those places is not the true values that those institutions were established to stand for. The issue is not about the democracy or fighting for human rights or democracy. There is an automatic majority, and without blaming anyone in person, I think that there are even countries where the ambassadors are paid to vote the way they vote, and maybe even their leaders don't even know what they vote because they don't care about. Now, the majority of the member states in the United Nations, and I think also in the ICC, are non-democratic countries. And they come to judge others in the name of democratic values, in the name of humanitarian values. And I think that this is the right time, because we came to a point of absurd. I think this is the right time that each one of us will go to the leaders in our countries and say, maybe we need to form new institutions that will reflect truly democratic countries, that will reflect truly the values that those institutions were made for from the beginning. We don't need United Nations. We need organization of democratic nations. And only true democracies will be there to judge, negotiate, decide among themselves. Because, there are many small islands that are in favor of Israel, and Rick, thank you for all the hard work that you do there. But I know of many countries in Africa, I'm maybe a little bit more involved in that region of the world, that automatically vote against Israel, in many cases because of external, and sometimes they don't even know what they vote about. None of them is democratic. A country that still do slave trading, Arab country, votes for the freedom and the humanitarian rights of others in other places. And what's the story here? So either we will flood those institutions with demands to investigate, with demands to look into the matters in those countries that are not democratic, in those countries that really abolish human rights for their citizens and for others, or we say, let's leave them aside. Let's create a new organization where only democracies like Israel, like the American United States, like European countries will talk one to another and take decisions that will really reflect the values and the truth. And I think that this is a message that can come out from here. And the other thing, I was inquiring a bit about the Nobel Prize. There is a peace prize, the Nobel Peace Prize, that was given to many people through the years, including Yasser Arafat, including some leaders in Africa that started the war a year after, once I think the first check came into their bank account. Now, there's money involved. Now, who recommends and who nominates the Nobel Prize laureates? Peace Nobel Prize can be recommended by parliamentarians from different countries around the world, including the Israeli parliamentarians. They can send a letter and say, individually, I recommend this guy, this person, that person. And I say, let us all unite with an initiative to recommend Benjamin Netanyahu to be the candidate for the Nobel Prize. I'm not sure he will win this year. I'm not sure we will be able to convince the committee. They are tough guys, But let's start an opposite wave, okay? To the other direction. Instead of talking about those crimes that were never been committed, let's talk about the achievements. And let's do that through parliamentarians in our countries, congressmen and others. It's legally possible, procedurally possible. Let's create a wave and other waves like this that will fight in their field, okay? They will have to come and say, why not? They will have to come and say, why not the democratic countries unite and work together, leaving aside those that are not relevant to the issue at all. And maybe this can be messages or at least points of thought that you can carry with you in the planes as you go back home. But I hope we get to see each other again in better times. As to the decision today, because Albert wanted me to share with you, honestly, I know only from the media what goes on there, and anything else I would say will maybe impress you, but will not reflect the truth. I don't envy the Prime Minister, and I don't envy anyone who needs to take the decision, because no matter what they will do, it's a very tough decision, and there is no like a good and bad in this situation. It's not like a good decision vis-a-vis a bad decision. There are ups and downs, pros and cons in this situation. And personally, I don't think that this is the last decision that will be taken, and this is not the end of the story. We are waiting here for changes on the other side of the ocean. 60 days, I think, around 60 days. And then many other things might look different in this area. And I think the only mistake the government did about this specific decision they are taking today is that they call it, at least the media calls it, an arrangement that is like a final arrangement. No, this is just a ceasefire. Like we had ceasefires before in different operations, in different wars, in different situations. So it's a 60 days ceasefire, and in 60 days, other things will happen, and maybe new times will begin. So let's pray for that. Let's pray for the peace of Israel, and thank you all for coming to show your support. Toda rabba.